The US election 2024 is out and confirmed with the 2025 president to be set in place. Obviously, that got a lot of outroar on the internet. But the meltdown within the gaming industry is really quite an interesting sight to see. More so, it kind of like do tell me what kind of person is working within the gaming industry. Hello there, how's it? I'm Mega Kida there. So obviously today in the chat we are going to talk about the gaming industry meltdown. No, I'm not going to talk about the election. No, I'm not going to talk about politics. I'm not caring about those kind of things. More so that even though I'm a very huge vocal person when it comes to politics. As a VTuber, obviously, I'm not going to care about those kind of things, so I hope you guys don't even ask me about it. And I will also highlight that I do not came from US, nor am I from US, nor do I am living in US. So that being out of the way, obviously, I do not vote in the US election, and don't ask me even if given a choice who will I vote. When you're given like two different choices, which like both don't really have a good option, obviously I would have to like think long and hard before I can vote on who I want to go for. So obviously with the result in US, Donald Trump had won, and that kind of like got a lot of people being on the meltdown. More so on the part that the people that are meltdown is basically those with so-called within the LGBTQ or the woke culture. The one thing a lot of people need to understand is that when I was like watching JT's son video or his son video or Red son video, yeah, the one thing that actually got me really interested is that they are all basically the same thing. Basically, people who is working within the gaming industry are just having a huge meltdown just because Donald Trump won. So when you kind of look at it, it's kind of like understandable, especially when the person who is now set in place to be the next president is really kind of like against this sort of the woke stuff or whatsoever, apparently. How are they going to convince him in a way? That would be a whole new different story. But with how they are now making noise, how they are coping, how they are seeking, how they are unhappy, how they are mad, how they are having a meltdown basically. Yeah, you kind of like have to just sit down and say that, oh, superashi desu yo ne, which means that it's such a wonderful feeling. But the one thing is that a lot of people need to understand is that when you kind of like looking at this sort of situation, is it really kind of like they just going to just keep on staying within their own bubble and not move on? I don't think so. They will still continue to like talk about the woke stuff. They're still not gonna stop about the LGBTQ, all these things, or how the DEI situation. I mean, like, you want to add LGBTQ, you want to add a bit of DEI in game or what's not, it's fine. The only issue is about the story, the agenda, and what's not. You don't add those in. That's basically what gamers want. If you look at a lot of Japanese game, like in the past, when they add in a little bit of politics stuff or LGBTQ stuff or DEI stuff, right, it's often more than not is in a way that is understandable, relatable, or sometimes it just put fun in a way. So when you look at this kind of situation, obviously you do not want agenda or ideology to be in a game that is pushing against the gamer's will. So when the election result is out and those people are not having a meltdown, the reason why I kind of like say is really kind of like telling what kind of person is working within the gaming industry. It's just that I believe like many people say that they are just activities or just people who is very loud. Yeah, when you kind of like having those kind of people working within the gaming industry, obviously you'll be like, yeah, there's no way they would add their ideology or propaganda into game because they just want to spread their ideology and stuff to gamers. And in a way, it is kind of like what we call a minor brainwashing, because when gamers or players or kids, young children playing this kind of game, and they look at this kind of game, they would think otherwise. It's just that if you're a responsible adult that is having your own kind of view, obviously you won't think too much. But what happens when a person who is not rational enough to think otherwise and playing that kind of game and think that it's alright, obviously they will have the wrong idea and end up having situation happen in the wrong direction. So in a way, having propaganda or agenda or ideology in game, it is a huge big no-no. If you are kind of like wanting that kind of situation, just create a politics game and tell the whole damn world it's a politics game. You don't go around and say, oh, it's just a game, or there's no politics and stuff. But when players play the game, obviously review will come in. People will know what is in the game. And more kind of interesting even more is that JT-san do actually highlight about two whistleblower, one being so-called confirmed about someone who is working in Bioware, telling about what kind of agenda work and ideology or people just wanting their stuff within the game industry to be put in. Do they know that a lot of video for the situation, I will kind of like say this word, I've been hardly saying it, but it's just that it's really one of the moments where we have to like sit down and think, is it true or not? Because there is a possibility of it being some sort of false allegation and what's not, and more so on the part that it can also be like you have to take a huge pinch also and throw the sword at the screen if you need to. But when you kind of like having like whistleblower collaborating with each other in a similar way, although different game company, obviously you'll be wondering like what kind of person is working within the gaming industry. So obviously if they are not coping and sad about the part that Donald Trump won, then obviously you can kind of like know what kind of person is working within the company. I mean, like, is it because they are Trump hater, or are they kind of like people going around saying that, hey, they are just wanting to add in agenda, political or was DI trash into the game? Yeah, that's a bit iffy, right? Obviously, to me, right, if you want to add those kind of things, it's fine as long as the story is good, the character looks good. It's a relatable story, a relatable game. Then obviously people will be able to play the game. But at the same time, when you kind of like force a game that like DragonAge, where you kind of like just say that, oh, you can't have big breasts when there's like girls up there with big breasts. Oh, you can't have big butt when not just girls, but also there are guys with big butts, okay? So I don't understand why they say that, oh, you can't have big butts, you can't have big boobs, or you must look fatty along the line. It's like, I don't understand. Are they trying to model their game after them? If so, it is not, like I mentioned, if the game is not relatable to the gamers or players, obviously their first thing is, since it's not relatable, I will not like this game, obviously I won't buy the game. And more so is the part is that they add in like stuff that you, in order to like apologize when you mispronounce someone gender, you have to do 10 push-up. And also when the fantasy character that is so damn strong to take out a freaking boss must do 10 push-up, and yet after 10 push-up the person is really like so damn tired, sweating and panting. Yeah, I wouldn't think I want to use that character if that person is going to be that weak, right? So obviously in 2024, with all those things situation, right, when you kind of like look at the 2024, a lot of games flop because they got DI, they got agenda, they got this and that. Even like one of the top 2 games, Suicide Squad, cost Warner Brothers a lot of money, and then you got a freaking Concord also cost Sony a lot of money, and now DragonAge and stuff, and even Star Wars, all these things is gonna cost the different game company to cost even more money. And even like Borderlands, which is beloved by many people, now even when they release it as a movie, got a lot of people hating on it. Yeah, I think 2025, if people don't understand what is the gamers one, what is the audience one, who are the actual audience instead of the modern audience, yeah, I don't know what to say anymore at this point of time. But again, like I mentioned, do I think that they are going to stop anyway? No, I do not. And more so, there are even evidence to indicate that apparently they are not going to stop. They're going to double down on the work agenda. They're going to double down on the DI. They're going to double down on the LGBT or whatsoever extreme way. And I mean, like I mentioned, in Japanese game long ago, there's really like a little bit of DI, there's a little bit of LGBTQ. Those are fine because it's like a fun game. But when the game is not fun, obviously people is gonna be mad, people is gonna double down and be mad about it. And the one thing is that it's gonna hurt the game company is we don't buy the game, the gamers don't buy the game, no one is gonna buy the game. If people know about it, they're gonna cancel the game if they do pre-order it in advance. So when you have that kind of situation, even if journalists and what's not trying to highlight like, hey, we got like 10,000 players, we got like 100,000 players, let's say for example. But when the game they make with a budget of over 200 million, which I had no understanding of why. Is it because they pay all the consultation fee, like the Sweet Baby Inc? Yeah, I think the budget is gonna be way higher than that, and more so is that, like I mentioned in my previous video, it's gonna take at least 1 million or 2 million or up to 3 to 4 million of copy to be sold in order to at least be considered a reasonable breakthrough. Most of the actual number is actually 3.5 million copies need to be sold. But instead of like having those kind of copy to be sold, they are not even breaking the first million. So obviously, with that being said, they are gonna lose a lot. They're gonna be in the red, and in order to ensure the company stay, what is the first thing they do? They obviously lay off. And when that actually happens, who is the first to go? Obviously the employees. And when they start making noise about it, they're gonna obviously continue to be mad, they're gonna be seeking, they're gonna be unhappy, they're gonna be crying over it. And who can they blame but themselves? And even if they try to so-called they're not gonna stop us. Yeah, like Permaban say, you should know by now, never challenge the internet, never challenge the gamers, never challenge the audience. But they just not gonna stop, I guess. But who knows, this is just my speculative thought, just a random chat. At the end of the day, if you have your own view, your own take, your opinion, your whatsoever, write in the comment section, we can discuss it further. If not, if you do like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe for more random chat where I talk about stuff that sometimes makes sense, doesn't make sense, or random at times. But the one thing I hope is not random for you guys is have a nice day or night. Bye.